Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Sadhana. Nice of you to drop by. So it's definitely been a while since I last uploaded a video.
Let me just take a moment to remember last time I was standing in this vicinity.
And I'll hopefully see you a bit sooner than a month.
It was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
To be honest, I'm still terrified of uploading this now, but I think it's important to start somewhere. Since I've been away, I finished my gap year and I started medical school, and now I've finished my first year of medical school and I'm about to go into my second year. This was definitely a year of experiencing things.
I think you should experience it. You always say I want to experience things, but I don't think you actually want to experience things because you would experience it if you wanted to experience things. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I thought I'd do a little review of this year, kind of reflect on everything that I experienced this year. Reflections are a huge part of medicine. Whenever we finish placements, we're actively encouraged to reflect on our experiences, and they're kind of a way to celebrate your positives and also look back at the negatives and try and find a way to kind of learn from them. So let's begin.
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. When you read, you begin with ABC. When you
Start uni, you begin with Freshers Week. So I moved into halls on the Saturday before uni started. I stayed in Selkirk Hall last year, which is in the Princess Gardens accommodation in South Kensington. So it was really close to the South Ken campus. My parents initially kind of helped me move my stuff in, and then they left soon afterwards. And I ran into some people and I tried to make some friends. And I kind of had like a wander around the halls to try and introduce myself to new people. I remember when everyone had kind of gone, and I remember kind of just sitting there alone in my room, kind of thinking like I'm gonna have to take care of myself. I'm so alone. I was trying to have like a little emo moment. I was playing some sad songs on my phone and like pretending I was in a movie, staring sadly out the window. But I couldn't fully have an emo moment because the guy next door was playing music really loudly through his speakers, and it was really killing the vibe of my sad boy hours that I was trying to have.
Like, it's not the vibe. Stop.
But anyway, the next day my friend Annie and I went into the Alexander Fleming building, which is kind of the HQ for the South Ken campus, and it was really fun. We met the ICSM Phoenix, which is very iconic. And we also met other people in our course and we kind of mingled for a bit. And then afterwards we went to this party in Byte Hall, which is kind of like the Imperial College Union, and it was really fun until I got like mustard on my shoes. And they were like new white shoes as well, and like someone stepped on my foot when I got mustard, so it kind of like stuck on it. But I did end up leaving early at that party, which was something I wish I could have done in the freshers boat party with the medical school. Don't get me wrong, it was such fun. But there's only so much socialising you can do on a crowded boat with sweaty people in the middle of the Thames on a cold October's night before you realise that the only way out is flinging yourself overboard. We weren't allowed any food as well or drinks. We had to get everything on the boat, and everything was like crazy expensive. Also, I don't know about you, but I'm vertically challenged and I couldn't really navigate through the crowd because I felt like a child who'd lost their parent at like a really crowded, chaotic supermarket.
Guys, we're gonna look back at this and be like, that was a good time.
Sure, Jan.
But the view was lovely though, and after a year of kind of sitting and rotting in my room, it was really refreshing to be in a place with so many people and kind of have the opportunity to talk and socialise with other people. And overall, I've really enjoyed the whole experience, kind of leaving my room, going out to meet new people, introducing myself. That is until I got freshers flu, and my freshers experience came to a rather abrupt end. But the whole positives from the freshers experience was that I managed to kind of trap some people from my accommodation and my course to be friends with me. And now I can say I definitely have the best group of friends anyone could ask for. And we had so much fun over the year, from karaoke nights.
I'll be right behind you when we say so.
Let's go!
Love is an open
To going to placement together.
You know what? I actually read that.
I read through it as well.
I did that.
But,
I did this before the meeting even started.
Exactly.
I did
For
this
the record,
2 days ago.
For the record, we are good. good med students, so we do pre-reading, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do pre-reading when it's not even necessary.
Exactly. So when we do have lectures that require pre-reading, we don't always do them. But when they don't require pre-reading, that's when we do we catch them off guard, you know?
Yeah.
So we do.
usually surprise them.
So we've already done this. We've read ahead.
Yeah, we have.
We have.
I swear, I really have.
Yeah.
Can you swear on it? I'm not gonna pick you up.
And I'm sure we'll make so many more memories next year, and I'm just really happy that I kind of established a really strong support system and a really good group of friends for the rest of my life. Now in terms of actual academics, I'll be honest, and I think it's important to be honest, because so much of my expectation and vision of what my first year is going to be like was kind of built on an illusion. This year was bumpy, to say the least. I admit I really struggled with getting used to the rigour of medical school and just like university life in general. I kind of entered into a flop era in the first term. But I tried to get into the swing of things a bit later on, but because I wasn't really able to establish like a really solid foundation in terms of feeling confident with the content, I kind of struggled and I was kind of treading water the whole year. We had lectures starting pretty much during Freshers Week, and so the kind of chaos of it all was really overwhelming. And also the first ever lecture I experienced in a lecture theatre was definitely memorable. It was my first ever lecture. We were all given iPads. I was there with my iPad and I had my PowerPoint presentation for the lecture up on screen, and I had like a pen and paper, and everyone was kind of doing notes on their laptop or their iPad. It was just me like with my pen and paper looking around, and everyone was like tapping away on their keyboards, and I was just like, oh, okay. Note taking at medical school was a whole different ball game to what I'd experienced during A levels. So I kind of had to get used to adapting to the different ways that the information was being delivered, and I'll admit this is something that I'm still struggling to get the grasp of
to this day.
And definitely out of all the experiences I experienced this year, the anatomy lab was probably the weirdest, and I don't think anything could have fully prepared me for how strange it felt. And like the smell as well, as someone said, the smell was gammy AF. And if you're not used to that smell, it's still kind of smells like pickled onions. It's a weird smell. Dissections at school were fine because it was like an animal that you were dissecting, it wasn't an actual human being. But I think when you kind of deep it too much and you kind of think into it, it's an actual human being that you're standing in front of. And I also feel like sometimes when I zone out and I'm like minding my own business, the smell of the dissection room just like creeps in out of nowhere. And I remember the first time I went into the DR, I had freshers flu. I was coughing so much that my abs physically hurt. I think I probably managed to grow a six-pack by how much I was coughing and hacking during freshers flu. An experience that was really, really fun was placements. We had two types of placements. We had hospital placements and GP placements. Our GP placements were mainly spread across the first term, and we had essentially 1 day a week every 2 weeks where we would go into a GP practice and kind of shadow the GP. At first, I thought it was kind of like glorified work experience. Because we were new, I don't really think they trusted us to do much, but we did learn to kind of interact and talk to patients, and I think that's why GP placements are really important, because you get that kind of primary care experience. And hospital placement for me was amazing because I was on the respiratory ward, which had the COVID ward in it, and I could see firsthand how the diagnoses that were made in the GP sector were kind of carried on into the hospital, and I could see firsthand the way in which the healthcare professionals and the multidisciplinary team were able to kind of treat patients with COVID and also other different conditions. And during hospital placements we also learned to do OBS, which is essentially taking blood pressure, temperature, heart rate, and all the kind of main vitals. And that was really fun because I got to walk up to patients, introduce myself, and ask them if I could do their observations. And I feel like I was making a really small but meaningful contribution to the overall care for that patient. And yeah, I definitely felt like Meredith Grey walking around the wards in like my blue scrubs with my little lanyard, and it was a really enjoyable experience. I also felt myself have medical student syndrome throughout the year, which is basically where I would feel like I had the illness that I saw on the slide. I remember when we were doing dermatology, and like every single picture that would turn up on the screen, like my skin would feel itchy and like I felt like something was crawling all over my skin. Or like when we were learning about jaundice recently, I like looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my god, am I turning yellow? Do I have too much bilirubin? Like, I was really worried about myself. I also felt myself have imposter syndrome as well for the majority of the year. And looking back at the year, I guess that was one of my biggest obstacles. I felt like everyone at this university was so smart, and obviously in A-levels I didn't get all A stars. I managed to get the grades that I needed to get in, but I didn't do everything perfectly, and I definitely wasn't used to being like the smartest in my class. But I was suddenly put into an environment where all of these people were used to being the smartest and used to being the brightest. They were literally the brightest of the bunch, and I definitely felt like I had somehow scraped a place into medical school and I didn't feel like I deserved to be there, which I've now learned is not true. But I think it's just, no matter how hard I tried to kind of suppress those feelings, they kept kind of creeping back. And I think this kind of made me struggle to stay interested and keep up with everything.
I don't want to play here on this surface.
And when it came to my first year exams, I started my revision with the feeling that I couldn't retain information. And I think it was all about my mindset when revising for those exams. Because for the first time in my life, I felt like I couldn't do it. And like many other medical students, I had to resit a couple of papers in order to progress on to year 2.
Not another one?
And this made me realise 3 things. 1, failure is a very normal part of the learning process and a very normal part of medicine and life in general. It's not really there to make us feel bad about ourselves or bring us down, but it's there as an opportunity to learn from. Number 2, I needed to pull my socks up and pull myself together and work.
You better work.
And number 3, it was really evident that I really like doing things the hard way and taking the scenic route. And that brings us to now. I just found out that I thankfully passed all my resits. Now I can say with pride that I'm going to be a second-year medical student. And I guess like with most new experiences, it's all about being patient and kind of realizing new things that you never realized before.
The year of just realizing stuff, and everyone around me were all just like realizing things.
And I really do think that we're on a journey and we can never really automatically get to the destination without experiencing the path along the way. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this kind of gave you an insight into what my first year was kind of like. I really do apologise for being away. But if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content from me, please do consider subscribing. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed and supported me in this past year, even though I've been away. It really does mean a lot, and I hope I can make it up to you in the future by making new videos. And please do let me know if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see from me in the future. And if you do have any questions about medical school or kind of applying to medicine or A-levels or anything, I'm always here to talk. Well, that's about it from me. I hope you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!